Welcome, heathens and witches, to the Horn
and Cauldron
podcast. Yeah, we're back at it again. We're recording this on the day.
Yeah, we're doing this on the day.
We're doing it live.
After taking a little bit of a hiatus. You know what, guys?
Not that live.
It is a lot of work to do all the things that we do. I have a day job and this and a side hustle. Let me tell you, as a millennial, I am just tired.
We all need a vacation. Speaking of vacations, today's topic
is
fits
kind
perfectly.
of about vacations.
Yeah.
Wow, we didn't even plan that.
Boom. Or maybe I did.
Or maybe you did.
Before we get into that, let's get some business out of the way. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, leave a comment below. Let us know what you think about these things and whether or not you need a vacation. The answer is yes. And if you say the answer is no, you don't need a vacation, then don't listen to the man so much. Or lady, whoever your boss is. Don't listen to them. They're lying to you. But let's just... Oh, man, I don't know if we introduced ourselves. I'm John Norgrove, and this is Julie Norgrove. Whatever. If you've been here before, this is what you expect. And if you haven't, welcome. It's chaos.
It's madness.
So let's just get right into it. Midsummer 103.
Yeah, so happy Midsummer.
Happy Midsummer.
Merry Litha.
Yeah.
So Midsummer is
Happy
also...
Midsummer, like the movie.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Is also called Litha. This is also called the Summer Solstice, which is the longest day of the year. And this year it's on June 21st in the Northern Hemisphere. And
in which hemisphere is that in, man?
The Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah, okay. That's a place at least this time.
And December 21st in the Southern Hemisphere for all of us, all of our fans in the Southern Hemisphere. I was going to say all of you Aussies, but then I was like, there's more people than Australians in the Southern Hemisphere.
That's
and then
fair.
I was like,
there
no
is.
hard left. See, we took a couple of weeks off, and
fair.
man,
That's fair. There is
killing it.
And if you're out there trying to deal with summertime heat, be careful out there, guys. It's hot.
Yeah.
Drink water. I'm looking at you, people who have made it weird about taking water breaks recently.
Yeah, hydrate.
Drink some water.
Hydrate.
You're mostly made of water. Unless you've transcended into being mostly made of beer. So
I'm mostly made of water.
I'm staying hydrated.
So anyway, Midsummer has been celebrated throughout the world since Neolithic times, which is like 12,000 to 4,500 BC. So safe to say, a super duper long
Since
time.
essentially forever.
Yeah. And this festival celebrates abundance and growth, fertility, of course, solar energies, since it's the longest day of the year.
Most sun.
And it's also been a popular time to do magic historically.
Sure. Yeah.
Harvest herbs.
A lot of fusion ball in the sky. I mean,
Yeah.
It's all Dragon Ball Z, man.
Take ritual baths, and have fertility rituals. It's also associated with fairies, bonfires, and handfasting.
I like the cashness of have fertility rituals. That's real safe for work sounding. Have fertility rituals. Sure.
Yeah, have a fertility ritual.
That's what is that what the young kids are calling it these days? Is that what Gen Z is calling it these days?
Boy, I feel like we're gonna have to start calling it that, because that's just insane.
Yeah.
So if you want to listen to more information about Midsummer, check out episode 15, which is Midsummer 101. That gives a bunch of general Midsummer info. I know there's a whole bunch of stuff that we said the Midsummer celebrates. So we talk a lot about that there.
Yep.
And then in Midsummer 102, which is episode 41, we talk specifically about bonfires and ritual baths and give some other general ways to celebrate Midsummer.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are like, but wait, John and Julie, you guys are putting this out. You're recording this on Midsummer. How am I supposed to celebrate Midsummer if it's already passed?
Be cool. That's how. Bam.
Jump in your time machine. No, you don't have to celebrate it on the day.
Yeah.
That's the whole, celebrate it. We like to think of these as a season.
Obviously, if you've been looking at a calendar, Midsummer is a Wednesday, which is not a great day for parties.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody trying to throw a Wednesday party? I mean, I'm down. if we're down, but like
No, I mean,
I want to say I have work tomorrow, but
Yeah.
I
gotta commute tomorrow, so there's no way I want to do that.
My work is
and
art,
also
so it's
the
not the same
weather
thing.
has been like uncharacteristically cold for our area.
It has been,
and time
yeah.
of
Let me
year.
tell you, man. I know that there is a large portion of the country. We're from America, obviously. You can hear it in the voice. Don't worry, it's obvious. You can hear the #1 chant in the background. Number one. It's all part of the bit. The Great American Bit. But like I know huge swaths of the country are currently like blistering in heat, but here in Northern California, specifically in our redwoods,
in the coastal redwood region,
it has been pretty chill, dude. I put on a whole ass coat today. In the morning, like when I first got up. That is the level of chill it in fact has been.
I have had to sleep for the last like several weeks with the heating pad on.
Well,
our
it only
mattress
stopped
on.
raining like what, 2 weeks ago?
Something like that.
So yeah, we were having like weird sprinkle days and stuff like that. My garden is like, no,
yeah, let me tell you what, man.
What are we doing?
We thought we had a giant radish, and it was not.
Oh my god, yeah, huge leaves, fertile for the tilling, and we pulled out, and it was a sad violin for our radish.
It was not ready.
Yeah,
no.
it was not prepared. But that's fine. We've got more.
So anyway,
radish seeds.
You can celebrate Midsummer whenever you want. We like to think of it as a season that lasts from more or less the week before the Sabbath to more or less the week before whatever
we always
Sabbath
schedule
is.
our like stuff like in an opportune way, and or like kind of do a little bit of stuff throughout like the week or so that it exists within, depending on like kind of the weather and what tasks we have to accomplish. Because like some Sabbaths come around and we're just like, we've got the time. Nobody's got nothing on their schedule. Let's throw a party. And sometimes the Sabbaths come around and you're like, oh, that was yesterday. Cool. Yeah, I'm too busy. Maybe we schedule this for like 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, I had originally
anything.
like tried this year to like take that time off from the 9 to 5 and
Did not work that way.
so that we could do like a thing on each of them. And this, let me tell you what, this is the 4th Sabbath of the year, and all but one has been that has not workable. Not at all. So
that's all right.
It's best laid plans.
Yeah, it is what it is, man.
Yeah. So anyway, Midsummer is a time that it seems that like a lot of people want to be outside and enjoying the weather, or maybe you're trying to lay inside with a fan, trying to keep you cool, or maybe you're like us, where you're like, oh my God, it's noon. It's actually warm enough to not wear a coat outside. This is bizarre.
Right?
Either way, a lot of people kind of want to be outside during this season. It's summer.
It's
and in many countries, it's common to go somewhere to celebrate Midsummer. As Americans, we don't really celebrate Midsummer in the same way that like we celebrate 4th of July. So I always kind of count like 4th of July as like part of the Midsummer celebrations.
Totally.
It's kind of like the 2-week period of Yule. It's like the 2-week period from Midsummer to 4th of July as an American.
Totally. 4th of July is like the end of Midsummer season in my book. So like, if you got a bunch of stuff going on, but you've got a 4th of July party scheduled, Midsummer celebration. You know what?
Exactly.
Close enough. Honest to God, it's close enough, man.
It's close enough.
Like,
close enough.
We got stuff going on. It is a bloody nightmare out there right now. So, like, we don't got time for this shit, you know? Yeah, so it's common during these like midsummer celebrations, like throughout the world and also sort of throughout time, for people to want to go somewhere to celebrate it. Usually near the water, like the lake or a river or an ocean. And summer is also a popular time to take vacations or day trips. So it's kind of like a big travel time time of year. It is travel time, yeah. This is like the beginning of the most expensive season to travel.
It is.
In the Northern Hemisphere. This is like tourist season.
Oh, absolutely.
TM, you know? We're already like 2 major events into like the summer season for our
we live in a tourist town.
Vacation wonderland.
Yeah.
Or whatever it's called.
It is Vacation Wonderland.
Yeah, okay. So, like, yeah, we're already, like, several events in, you know, it's been a year.
Yes, it has. So since this is kind of like a popular time to travel this time of year, we're going to talk about how you can take your magic with you. Because for each of the 103 series of the Sabbats, we've been talking about something that is close to, but adjacent to also the Sabbat. So that's traveling. Yeah. So we've kind of got 3 pieces of that to share with you today. So first, we're going to talk about portable magic. So if you're traveling, why not take your magic with you? I mean, like, for real, like, we pretty much always bring tarot cards and crystals when we travel. Yeah. And sometimes tiny spell kits, you never know. It's like the grandma travel thing where you bring like 3 or 4, you bring more stuff to entertain yourself than you think that you're going to.
Let's not even pretend that it's just for grandmas. If you have kids, you have that bag. It might live fully in your car. Right? I mean, like when I was a kid, that was like the permanent, like that was just a thing in the station wagon. You know what I mean? Like,
no, we pack the bag anew every time.
Here's like some coloring books and some coloring pencils and like some doodads. You know, the magnetic chest. Remember the time before? Let's be old for just a split second here. Do you remember pre-cell phones when you had to play miniature magnetic board games with your siblings and pray that not one piece got lost in the packing and the unpacking of such a thing?
Oh my god, no, we never did that.
We played miniature chess. My family's pretty big on chess, so
we
played like mini chess, and we had another mini game that was like, and I'm talking like, dude, the board was like, I don't know, 6x6. Something like that. You know, it was like very tiny. And it folded in half and all the bits like stayed inside of it or whatever.
Yeah.
So we had like that. And obviously like books and like, you know, all of our various walk people.
Oh my gosh, no, we did not.
Yeah.
we were
100% those people.
My brother
We were also the people who, like, if we were starting to get a little antsy in the car, mom or dad would be like, how about this Disney cassette tape? And then our car was the loudest, shakingest car on the road. We are hundo passundo sing-along people.
Oh my gosh.
I still to this day sing along to Disney music. What's up, hooty hoo, Disney adults?
We were
when the apocalypse comes,
like
we'll win. So
yeah, we were not like that. My brother gets car sick really easily, and it was just like it was just like one parent, whichever parent we were with,
sure.
and me and my brother. And my brother gets car sick, so he had to sit like in the front seat, and you couldn't like distract him with anything. So
you're like, "What's that?" And he's like, "What? Oh,
yeah,
no, it's got me." The sickness.
He got car sick one time after driving like 10 minutes to the library across town. It was wild.
Oh my god, that's ridiculous.
Like I was always in like the back seat, and my mom drove a Mustang.
About.
So like I didn't have like a lot of view. Those aren't really like cars that you like have a passenger in the back seat.
Technically they have back seats, but those are for lies.
Yeah, so like I would bring a lot of books. I did a lot of reading while we were driving.
Oh yeah, car reading.
And like we had music on and stuff, but it wasn't like that kind of like kids sing along.
No, yeah,
we were listening to whatever music that my parents wanted to listen to, and like we would have conversations. We weren't like sitting quietly in the car the whole time.
Oh man, that's horrifying.
We did not bring those magnetic toys with
we did all that
because
stuff.
We were just like
coloring.
We did that one time.
Oh! Why are you making noise, huh? That's unacceptable. We're just gonna turn that off.
What?
It's cool. Our TV's just decided to make noise even though it was on mute. So that's
what the actual insane.
That's fine. I've been having some issues with electronics as of late, so that's a fun thing that I get to deal with. I've had a bunch of stuff just like sort of blow out for no reason. So
anyway. Yeah, we would just.
Net.
I think we move on while we've got this.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so there are a lot of different ways that you can take your magic with you,
Yeah.
and we have some ideas for you.
Yeah.
So first of all, create or buy like a travel altar or like magic kit, which would be like a small container that holds your most important small magical items. And if you're buying a container, a lot of times you can buy one that has like the whole kit inside of it. So it's got like something for each element, and then like a tiny candle to light or whatever.
You could do it as small as an Altoids tin, right? You could do it as big as like a cigar box, and you got you got all these people making like pretty cigar boxes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Making them like nice with like all kind of pictures and carvings and
Yeah.
such. You can also just like, so I have a travel tarot card set that's like maybe, I don't know, like 3 inches, maybe 2.5 inches, like 3 inches by 1 inch, something around that scale. And that's like the perfect size for like, you could take that and like a short beeswax candle, like a little nubbin guy from like leftover beeswax.
Yeah.
Because I always like use my leftover beeswax to make like a little nubbin candle. And like a little nubbin guy and like a couple of rocks, and just sort of like wrap that in an altar cloth, a couple of crystals. Wrap that in an altar cloth and then like stuff that in your bag. In fact, I used to always do that whenever I traveled for work. I have 4 travel tarot sets, Kickstarter. I think I have like 4 travel tarot decks, and one lives in each one of my various travel bags. So sometimes I travel and I'll have like 3 tarot decks with me. Like different tarot decks with me. But like it's real easy to just like kind of put that in with some candles and some bits, like whatever your important bits are. And then just wrap that in your like travel altar cloth. I would recommend a washable altar cloth for that. Because you don't know what you're going to deal with. And then go from there. And I've done that like camping, hotel stuff. Obviously, no candles in a hotel. I feel like I shouldn't have to say that, but I'm going to. But like that whole thing.
Yeah. So if you're trying to create one of your own, or even if you're trying to augment one that you've purchased, you want it to have, whatever it is that you're going to be doing for like your spell or your ritual or any other important magical items to you. So like crystals, tiny packets or vials of herbs, maybe some matches, maybe a small vial of water, a birthday candle, mini stuff.
Yeah.
But also definitely make sure that anything that you are bringing is properly sealed, and that you should practice appropriate fire safety, and it won't be any sort of TSA or rules for where it is
like
that you're
TSA
traveling
issues
to.
or something like that. Like if there's volumes of liquid rules, don't bring volumes of liquid.
Yeah.
Or just don't bring matches and a lighter and a candle and stuff like that. I've seen people bring like a knob of beeswax that's sort of shaped like a candle. Or like a piece of the candle, sort of like that like flat butt that you get at the end after the wick is like burned out and like the candle's cooled. Like take that as like a physical representation of fire.
Yeah.
So you can always do something like that. You don't necessarily need the practical flame.
Yeah.
In order to accomplish your task. Or what have you. So
yeah, you can also, instead of creating one and bring one with you, or maybe in addition to that, you can just use what you have where you're going to be going. So are you going to the beach? Use water from the beach and use sand and maybe some rocks, and instead of a candle, maybe use, if you've got a fire going or something like that, a tiny piece of charcoal. Please don't burn yourself on this charcoal or burn anything down.
It can be fire safe.
Yeah, be fire safe.
Yeah.
And if you're going camping, basically the same idea applies. Like some bits of wood that you found that were, like deadfall, and maybe a tiny leaf. Again, fire safe, and always make sure that you know the rules of where it is that you're going before you start picking stuff off the ground, because sometimes taking things like that is illegal.
Yeah. Sometimes you're not supposed to.
And also sometimes
that shit's like poisonous or a problem or whatever. So
or it's just morally wrong.
Be nature smart, and like if you're traveling to a mystical place, Like, don't... Okay, so when you go to Stonehenge, you can't, like, go up and touch that shit.
Yeah.
Right? There's, like, a path that you take, like, around it or whatever. And the reason that I was told why when I went to Stonehenge the first time and was talking to the person was that, like, people would just, like, take chunks out of it.
Yeah.
They would just, like, try and, like, oh, let me give you a bit of this. So, like, if you're at a place that's, like, magically significant and it's not cool for you to touch or take stuff, do not touch or take stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like that's obvious. However, there are many magical places.
Yeah, if
where
you really
it's
want to,
like part of
take
the action
something-
is touching or
Yeah.
taking.
Well, like, if you're in a place where you can't touch or take and you really want to take the essence of that place with you, have with you something that you want to charge with the energy of that place.
Or take a picture. Technomancy.
There you go. Technomancy.
You carry a spell book in your pocket
We're
that has
huge
access
fans.
to more information than any library ever built. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there you go, dog. But like Scotland has those. Man, I want to say it's called a Clutie well, but
They are called Clutie wells.
Are they called Clutie wells?
Yes.
Bam, boom. What's up? So Scottish, I knew a word that I
We
didn't
only
know.
talk about it in the podcast like several times a year.
Yeah, whatever. So like that, you like take a piece of cloth and you dip it in there and then you tie it on like a nearby branch or what have you. Assuming that it's okay with local ordinances. But so like that you can do there, but like don't touch Stonehenge. Don't ruin shit so we can't see it later.
Yeah.
So you know, just like be practical about it.
Yeah,
and reasonable.
yeah. So you can also pack multi-purpose items, or you can multi-purpose items that you'd already be packing, depending on how you want to look at that. Yep. So, like, use your favorite water bottle for libations, especially if you're going camping. You're going to bring a cup. You might as well use that.
Yep.
Whatever it is that you're wearing as jewelry, use that in lieu of bringing fancy or large or additional crystals.
Yeah.
Your toiletry bag can be used to hold it all together. Those little zippy makeup bags are fantastic for this. If you really want to go like mini and tiny, you could use a locket or a poison ring to have everything in.
Yeah, store like a single grain of salt and like 12 atoms of amethyst.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
like a tiny chip
it's
of
very
each
dope.
thing.
It's very dope. It's very dope. It's along the same lines as the like spell jar necklaces.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
so
exactly
rock
like
and roll,
that.
dude. I'm into
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Now, other ways that you can do this without necessarily having to pack something is you can do some kitchen witchery, wherever it is that you're going, you're probably going to be eating.
I mean, we can only hope.
Practice some kitchen witchery, whether that's you making the thing or whether that's you putting intentions into a dish that has already been made. Yep. You can also employ color magic.
Rearrange the tomatoes to be a pentagram.
There you go. Yeah. You could also use color magic, and sigil magic is a really easy one. And also, if you have a spell or a ritual planned, pack only what you absolutely need for it. But more importantly, make sure that whatever it is that you're doing, you also pack it out.
Oh,
it is
God.
not cool to leave your magical stuff
leaving a mess in nature.
Places. Don't leave messes in nature.
People are so messy in nature. It's
even
so
if it's
crazy.
biodegradable. Come on, people. Don't do it.
Also, a lot of times that biodegradable label is just a bold-faced lie. Let me tell you the horror stories I've heard from people who've worked in the water treatment profession with biodegradable waste products being fully the bane of their existence.
Yeah.
So, just don't leave stuff behind. Take it with you. You don't. It doesn't need to be left there.
Yeah.
You know? So, pack in, pack out. That's like classic rule.
That's definitely the thing.
Old school rule. So do that. Definitely. And on that, like, bringing it with you, you can sort of work into your practice day to daily, like travel magic stuff, right? I think I've talked about this before. Like, I'll sometimes use like hand symbols, even like when we're just driving, like into town or what have you. So like, you can always assign a magical practice to a hand symbol, which is like, right about at the same place as speaking a spell, not as much as writing it, or like a big to do, but like it's right at, if you're trying to think of the like order of magical intent or what have you. It's up there with speaking, right? Because it's the same thing. So you can always do that, and like if you work it into your practice beforehand, or if you like, let's say, design some sort of a sigil, and then your altar at home, leave a copy, like write that sigil on 2 pieces of paper. Right? Leave a copy of that sigil on your altar at home. Take a copy of that sigil with you to the place where you're planning on traveling to and doing magic, which allows you to link those 2 locations. So that way the like necessary ritual items you have set on your home altar, obviously nothing on fire like candles. I shouldn't have to say that, but I will. Come on. But you know, like all the bits, you can sort of use that as like a portal.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea.
You know, stuff like that. All of these are things that I've done many, many times before. So yeah, you know, sometimes there are rules when you travel, so you got to follow those rules.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And kind of piggybacking on that, too, is our next topic.
Yes.
Travel protection magic. So maybe you're not going to do magic with you for a variety of reasons. So if that doesn't make sense, then you can do some magic ahead of time to encourage a smooth and safe trip. Obviously, you can do spells or whatever associated with, you know, like the trip that you're about ready to take, but you can also do this specifically for traveling, and this can also be used not just for going to like a vacation, but also sort of like your general commute.
Do you live in a big city and maybe your highway is a bloody nightmare? Well, we've got the thing for you.
Or do you have to drive far for something, whether that's on the regular or in every once in a while?
I have done many multi-day drive style vacations, and so this is definitely that like sort of protection magic thing is definitely where you want it to be, you know?
Yeah. So to do that, you can do a whole bunch of stuff, but you can do like spell jars or like little pouches to go into a car or your backpack or your
like
pocket even.
Or
yeah, exactly. Make sure it's not something that would be breakable. So try and put it inside of a cloth thing. Yeah. You can also enchant a specific item. So maybe that's your keys, or your like whatever doodad you have hanging from your rear view mirror.
Yeah, yeah. A watch.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the number of old-timey watches I've seen. The back of that watch got a bunch of stuff on it.
Yeah.
Right? In fact, I've seen the Traveler's Prayer on the back of watches.
Yeah.
Because you always travel with your watch. Because you got to know what time it is. So I've seen the like Christian Traveler's Prayer written on the like back of like hand wound like gold watches, like old timey watches and whatnot. So like that's a great way to do it. That's a fantastic example of like enchanting an item with the intention of protection.
Yeah, you could probably do that with your phone case too.
Oh, you totally could, dude. If you have, I mean, mine is like relatively transparent.
Because you basically take your phone everywhere.
I used to put paper and like little bits of stuff behind my phone case all the time.
Same, but now we have these phone cases that are not very easy to get off, so I don't put anything behind.
Yeah, man.
It's kind of a mess.
So good.
You can also carry an amulet with you. So an amulet is kind of like a thing. I mean, usually you think of an amulet as like, a necklace, but it doesn't have to be a necklace. But an amulet is basically something that you construct with magical intent rather than adding magical intent to an item that already exists, like enchanting. So you can create an amulet to carry with you, and an amulet can be, it can be a necklace, it can be a bracelet, it can literally be a piece of paper that has your magical spell on it or your intentions that you just like put in your wallet or your purse.
Challenge coin for my military people out there. Y'all probably know the best what a challenge coin is, but like I know a ton of dudes who carry challenge coins and stuff. And so you can do like a challenge coin, or like up here in Northern California, we'll have mark coins. So for our Masonic mark, we have coins for those that you can get those etched. You can also, if you have no clue what I'm talking about, if you go to like a trophy shop, or like a plaque shop or whatever, they will etch essentially anything that's etchable for you. I mean, heck, honestly, you could go to Tap Plastic, make it out of bloody Delrin or something. Then it's like indestructible nearly.
Yeah.
But make like a coin-sized thing and then keep it in your wallet.
Yeah.
Right? You know, it's sort of one of those like easy to carry. You know, I would say that we're all used to carrying coins, but oh my god, who carries change these days? Ugh.
Yeah.
A quarter's worth nothing. I mean, as a child, they had value, but nowadays,
I paid
nothing.
with cash for something recently, and they gave me coins back, and I was like, ew.
You're just like, what do I do with
But
this?
I couldn't put them in, like, a tip jar.
Yeah, right?
So I was just like,
oh,
ugh.
I put whole quarters in the take a penny, leave a penny thing.
Oh, yeah,
at
no,
a gas
there was
station.
not that.
I'm just
There
like,
was not
no,
that.
I don't want none of this change,
Yeah, there was
dog.
not
It's
that.
too much work.
So I was just like,
it's gonna rattle around. My keys already rattle enough.
Gross. I don't need that.
But yeah, if you take challenge coin, put it in your wallet. In fact, I have a challenge coin in my wallet permanently that I use. That's Starfleet Academy coin. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Nice.
yeah, man, that's a great like amulet. Your amulet doesn't necessarily need to be something big or ostentatious or ridiculous. It can be something very small, very simple, and you can always have something customly made.
Yeah.
You can also get a small piece of leather from a craft store and carve, paint, draw, or otherwisely mark whatever you want to in it to produce an amulet to carry with you always. This was a thing that I used to do a lot as a kid. I always on my keys had like a little leather tag with some symbol that I created on my own, like carved into it, right? I grew up doing a lot of leather work. That's a fantastic way to do it. It's just like a little thing on your keys. Then it's always with you. You never even have to think about it, and you're always bringing that travel protection magic along with you, you know? Mm-hmm. So, like little stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You can also obtain a Saint Christopher medallion, which is usually like a little necklace. Saint Christopher is the patron saint of travelers, and he is usually shown as a man holding a child like on his shoulders, crossing a river or some water. So that is definitely a way to do it if you are a Christian-leaning pagan, or if you don't mind using saints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get St. Christopher in, like, literally everything.
Yeah.
Necklace, bracelet, phone case, bloody pop socket, like all that stuff, dude.
Yeah.
It's so everywhere. And I mean, I've seen coins that are like, you know, half-inch, quarter-inch, little itty-bitty thin, like, pressed sort of things that are designed to just sort of like kind of get lost in your purse.
Yeah.
And then you never got to worry about it kind of a thing. So,
exactly.
Yeah, dude, totally.
And a lot of this kind of like travel magic is like very protection magic. So we're kind of looking at like the two pieces of that Venn diagram where they come together. So, you know, you can employ a lot of protection magic practices associated with this. We talk in depth about protection magic in episode 12, Intro to Protection Magic. So, you know, there's like herbs that you can use and stones and colors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you've got a whole huge amount of things that you can do.
Yeah, definitely.
With this travel protection magic.
Definitely. Yeah. And I mean, when you think about travel and magic, your Venn diagram is most assuredly like protection magic. So like on your travels magic, like while you're traveling magic, and then like destination magic, which is like, I'm at a beach, let's do some magic.
Yeah.
I'm in Scotland, let's do some magic, you know? So I'm at work, finally, it's been an hour, let's do some magic, you know? Traffic. So that's really where that Venn diagram exists, and the overlap of those things are sort of your EDC, to like take that term from like preppers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is your like everyday carry stuff, and where you can imply, and we've talked about this like a million times in this podcast, is like where you can take your magic and involve it in your everyday life, right? And it's not like big pomp and circumstance, right? We love a good big pomp and circumstance. Don't get me wrong. I am obviously dramatic and love a big pomp and circumstance.
No.
No, yeah, never been. Nobody's ever said, Jonathan, this
Not
guy,
you.
least dramatic human that's ever lived,
Who's
right?
that?
Full truths. But like you can induce that in little bits across your life in order to like in magic things, so that way not only like while you're traveling you have that protection and you have that like, you know, not getting lost and finding your way home and all these things. I mean, I'm naming like 12 different kinds of things, right? But then also when you get there, the things that you're doing, for me, that's expressed in like its purest and most logical form in all of my tattoo work, right?
Yeah.
But like it doesn't have to be necessarily that extreme, although I don't think it's very extreme to have a bunch of tattoos. But it can be something as small as like a piece of paper in your wallet.
Yeah.
You know, that you just like scribble on what are those sticky notes?
Oh, Post-its.
Take a Post-it note. Yeah. Take a sticky note, do a little symbol on it, fold it around your credit card, slide that into your wallet. Magic.
Yeah.
You know, like it's that easy.
Yeah, it is.
know?
It is in fact
So this
that
is
easy.
this is definitely like specific, but part of the overarching look at like making everyday mundane shit a little magical.
Yeah.
You know, bringing your magic into the mundane.
Yeah, exactly. And of course you can do sort of like all of those pieces and then that. So if you're going on a trip, you can do a ritual before you leave to have a successful and safe trip. And then you can do magic when you get there. And then you can also do kitchen witchery while you're there. And then you can, you know, so you can really build on that with like a lot of different things, whether it's an everyday trip or whether it's something that's like a little bit more special.
Yeah. Well, and we think about, you know, like to sort of bring it back to like ancient peoples. We think about like in the old days, magic was this big deal, right?
Yeah.
But they were very much a part of that, like everything is magical, because for them, magic was an essential part of reality, of their reality, right? As observed. So, like, they would have, like, made sure to do whatever that thing is. And it's super dependent on like person, culture, location, season. I mean, this is all like very, very specific. If you got a horseshoe above your door and you're about ready to leave for work or whatever, give it a knock if that's your vibe. You know, like whatever your thing is, right? We always did those things, you know, in order to sort of facilitate good luck, good harmony, safe travels, success at market, any of that stuff, right? Which success at market is essentially just success at work, same, right? So, like, that's kind of part of it, is that, like, constantly introducing that stuff into those mundane places, as well as taking those things and sort of, like, realizing that there is an infinite number of places within I'm going on vacation to I'm home from vacation where you can introduce that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? You can do all of that stuff ahead of time and don't worry about it. You do all that stuff after the fact and celebrate the successes, right? It's the fact that you're interacting with it is the part that sort of matters, right? And then you fit that into your own thing, and everybody's going to practice it differently, and that's sort of what adds the, like, textural detail to the magical environment around us, is the fact that the way that I'm going to do that and the way that you're going to do that's different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's sort of that, like we often only focus on the big maypole bonfire celebration, right? And I know, like, we're speaking about Midsummer, which is like big, big celebration, but also, you know, like doing it in the small little bits is equally valuable. It's the same thing, to put it in like the kind of Christian perspective, is that like if you pray before bed every night or whatever that is, then like when you travel from London to bloody, like Barcelona, Spain, you don't not pray before bed still.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're still doing it. Or, like, what do they do? Like, pray before meals?
Yeah, so build a routine.
Yeah,
is
it's
what you're
sort of
saying.
like build a routine. Yeah, thank you. Couldn't think of the word routine, so there we go. But, like, yeah, it's like that sort of an interaction, that sort of relationship with your practice.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great thing to do regardless of whether you're thinking about Midsummer, or you're thinking about traveling or anything like that.
It just happens that travel and Midsummer are two good lenses to focus our vision on a specific task.
Yep, exactly. So moving along to the
Second part
to the
D.
next piece. This is technically the third.
Part tre.
That's not how that number thing works.
Yeah, it's not un, de, tre, te, se, so.
No. No, it's actually not.
F, v, or de. There you go. That's French with all E-A-U's at the end.
Oh, man, it sounds like you're reciting lines from, like, a 90s alt indie pop band. Because, like, back in the 90s...
You don't know that I wasn't in an alt indie pop band from the 90s.
Like, they were just, like, all vowels all day.
Yeah.
Like, if you...
Oops, all vowels. Don't worry about it,
If you don't believe me, listen to some Hootie and the Blowfish.
Yeah, right?
So, anyway, the third piece that we're talking about here is... travel, like magical travel destinations. So we've talked about planning magic to go with you, and we've talked about like doing magic so that when you go, it's going to be great. But what about when you're going to a place that is inherently magical?
Yeah, well, it's the before, right? We talked about going to a place and doing magicking when you travel. We've talked about magicking while you travel, and now we're talking about travel destinations, what with magic.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So now we've covered all the bases, past, present, future.
Well, we're about to cover all the bases. Yeah. So, like magical travel destinations, we're going to kind of talk about pilgrimages here. So, pilgrimages have long been a theme during the summer months, and there are actually quite a few Sabbats where a pilgrimage is like a thing that certain cultures would do. Yeah. Totally. We see this with Midsummer, we see this with Lunasa, we see this with Imbolc, we see this with...
And on pilgrimage, that is generally recognized as the term that means traveling to a place for a purpose.
Yes.
Faith / magical, because those words are more closely related than a lot of people want to have a conversation about. But so like that's sort of what we mean by pilgrimage. We're not only talking about the like monotheistic Judeo-Christian pilgrimage, which I feel like as an American, most people think of the word pilgrimage, you're thinking of your traditional monotheistic pilgrimage.
Yes.
As opposed to the fact that means like going to holy wells also.
Yeah. But there's also different types of pilgrimages.
Oh, totally.
So, like, in a way, we could think of our trip to Fanime each year as a pilgrimage.
Oh, certainly. Well, yeah, I mean, so you're talking about the real definition of the
faith
word
and
versus
that
the social
sort of thing.
definition.
So there's like a bunch of different definitions for pilgrimages.
Sure.
But we are not talking about specifically Judeo-Christian pilgrimages. They've been happening for way longer than that. Way longer than we've had any sort of organized or even disorganized religion.
Yeah.
So we've also talked about like sort of mini pilgrimages in some of our episodes, like when we're talking about visiting holy wells. That is a sort of a pilgrimage.
100% a pilgrimage.
Yeah,
you go in there to do a thing on purpose. Essentially, that's the definition of the word pilgrimage. You go into a place to do a thing that means a bunch. Pilgrimage.
That's basically
right.
It, yeah.
I mean, that's the like proper all of the monotheism stuff is more of a social construct and less of a like linguistic construct.
Exactly.
With that sort of stuff. So like holy wells, fantastic example. We were literally just talking about bloody Clutie wells or whatever.
Yeah, we were. I was just like, this guy, he doesn't know yet.
Or precog. What's up?
No, you didn't know.
I'm telling people about future crimes, sleeping in some milk.
But like also, taking like a meditative walk or hike. If you're like every like one of these holidays, I go and hike to the top of this mountain or hill locally. That's kind of like a pilgrimage. And if you haven't thought of it that way before, definitely start thinking of it that way.
Make it fancy.
So,
Put a
like,
hat
if
on
you
it.
always go to the lake to see the fireworks for 4th of July, especially if you're American, like, that's kind of a pilgrimage. So make it magical. Why not?
Yeah, totally.
Totally.
Yeah.
So there are a ton of like uber popular pilgrimage destinations that you can think of. So there is a lot of like Judeo-Christian side of things where you go and make a pilgrimage to Israel. That's a very popular one. I actually know people who did that.
Who've done that? Oh yeah, dude, I've known a ton of people who've done the like.
I know a guy.
Israel
I worked with a
pilgrimage.
guy who did that, and he did like I think missionary work in Israel. He was there for like a little while, like maybe 6 months.
Oh, shit.
So he
Okay,
was there
that's
for
dope.
like
Yeah.
so he was like pilgrimage plus, right?
Yeah.
And it was so funny.
Pilgrimage plus.
He was like so nice and so sweet, and whenever he would talk to people about it, because it was like a big life-changing experience for him, he would always tell people that he did time in Israel.
Yeah, that don't mean the
Half
same
of the
thing
time
that he meant
was
that
saying
means.
that out loud, I people didn't really understand, and then he would start talking about it more, and you would see the look on their face
The
transform,
light turn on. Where he's like, I
that
did
they'd be
time.
like,
I did time in Israel, and you're like,
"Oh."
oh shit, what? And they're like, yeah, man, it was great. I helped out a bunch of schools, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
What? How? What's happening over there? Yeah, totally.
It was so
totally.
sweet.
That's great.
Eventually I had to pull him aside and go, hey, I hope you know that when you say this specific phrase, you are implying a different kind of, most people are going to think that you mean a different kind of did time. And the look of realization and also horror and shock and embarrassment that came over his face, I was just like, you poor sweet man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, language is a nightmare. What are you gonna do?
It sure is. So anyway, pilgrimages to Israel, and quote unquote the Holy Land.
Yeah.
It's also a very popular event to make a pilgrimage to Mecca, specifically if that is part of your religion. But there are a lot of people who make that pilgrimage just to like check it out.
Totally.
And there are other types of festivals. So like Stonehenge is becoming a more popular pilgrimage destination for people that are pagan.
Used to be very popular. Oh, let me tell you, like the stories about pilgrimages for like during big events, both celestial events and like Sabbath events in the like 60s, 70s to Stonehenge. That was something else.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
There's like there are temples in India. There's like the tattoo temples in India. You know, those ones where you got to spend like a week there or what have you. Like that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Like there's a ton of people that go to that, and that's like religious thing or interested in the thing or like a tourist who wants a tattoo. Like everybody's welcome, have fun.
Yeah.
You know, like that kind of thing. I watched like a whole special on it with my dad years ago, and I was just like, oh, I kind of want to go to this.
Yeah, you're like,
I
is
love
this wrong with
tattoos.
me
I want
to,
this.
like, want to go to
yeah,
this
I want
thing?
this so much. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of stuff, but I would also argue for a lot of people, Disneyland is a pilgrimage.
Yeah.
Star Trek convention's a pilgrimage.
You know what?
Comic-Con's a pilgrimage.
Burning Man is a
Burning Man
pilgrimage.
is so much a pilgrimage.
Wasteland
Weekend.
Yeah.
Pilgrimage.
Coachella,
yes.
pilgrimage.
Yeah.
I mean,
totally.
the idea of
Whatever the
of
one in San
Woodstock.
Francisco is.
Oh,
the
it's Outside Lands.
Outside Lands,
Yeah.
pilgrimage. Dude,
The
I know people
idea
who
of
like have a whole
Woodstock,
thing about
but
that.
I can't say that Woodstock was kind of like in the same way a
I
pilgrimage.
would consider that. I would say that Woodstock was 100% a pilgrimage.
Yeah.
The story of people's cars trudging through mud and breaking down, and then hiking with everything they own.
Yeah.
Miles to get there, or whatever. You know, hitchhiking there, trading and bartering to try and get there, like that. That was 100%
Yeah.
a pilgrimage.
Yeah.
100%, dude. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So like a pilgrimage is sort of a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it
You
is a
know?
bunch of stuff, and it sort of means something a little different to everyone.
To each individual.
Yeah,
Certainly,
absolutely.
certainly.
Absolutely. So, I've picked out 3 fun pilgrimage destinations to talk about. I don't know if they're necessarily fun or not, but they were a little off the beaten path, and I thought that y'all would enjoy them.
Yeah.
So, the first one we're going to talk about is Mount Kailash in Tibet. So, Tibet in general, I think, is kind of like a big place for people to do pilgrimages.
Such a big pilgrimage place. They made a whole movie about it called 7 Years in Tibet.
That's
Good
right.
movie.
That's right. Yeah, they did.
Good movie. I haven't read
Yeah,
the
they
book,
did.
but good movie.
But we are specifically talking about one particular mountain, and this
Yeah.
Mount Kailash, and I may be saying that wrong. If I am, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Spell it out phonetically below for us on
Yeah.
YouTube so we know how to say
So
that.
Mount Kailash is a holy site for the people of the Buddhist, Jain, Bon, and even Hindu faith. In the Hindu faith, this is actually the home of Shiva. And basically what you do when you go there is you are doing a 32-mile walk that has 1,000-foot elevation gain around roughly the base of the mountain.
That's dope. I'm already here for this.
Yeah. And so you're also actually prohibited to go. You cannot climb the mountain because it is sacred to so many groups of people.
Sure.
You are
You got to do the walk.
prohibited. Yeah.
Do the walk.
So this walk takes on average like 1 to 3 days. Like if you are like if you do a lot of hiking, particularly at higher elevations.
Hey, if you're doing it in one day, that's gangster. I'm not going with you. We're not friends.
Yeah, you
We're
can
not
do it in one
friends
day.
anymore.
Yeah.
32 miles. Too many miles in one day.
3 days is kind of like the most common
It's
for
like
what
10
I
miles
saw
a day.
for people. And you
seems
can only
reasonable.
do it in from like April to October or something like that. But you also can't do it in June. And you can't do it in May because of the rain. So it's a very
sure.
small window of time that you can actually do this for. Now, there are some people who kind of go all out on this. Now, it can take up to 3 weeks if you are doing this prostrate. And by that, I mean, if you were to do this, then you would with each step, with each advancement around this course, you would bend down, kneel, and then lay down like flat on your belly. And then you would make a mark on the ground with your fingers. And then you would get back up to kneel, and then you would pray, and then you would move forward. So you were standing on the mark made by your fingers, and then repeat.
Yeah. This is what I'm going to say.
It is the most advanced inchworm I have ever heard of.
I'm so here for this. I would love to participate in something that profound. I'm very here for that kind of stuff. I would love to do something like that.
Yeah, it seems like a very, I mean, because you're thinking, okay, so like you are 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
Right? And I am about 5 feet tall.
Yeah.
So
You're getting left behind.
Yeah, I'm definitely
too short.
It's gonna take me a lot longer to go through
Your
this.
steps far smaller.
But I am closer to the ground, so maybe that changes.
That's fair.
things.
That's fair. I feel like after 3 weeks of doing that, my knees would never ever not make noise. But worth it.
Maybe you wouldn't have knees anymore.
Yeah, worth it. It's fine.
I'm just thinking, like, if it's 32 miles, a mile is like 5,240 feet, and
yes, I don't know.
It is. I have that number.
A mile's
memorized.
a genuinely stupid unit of measure.
It is.
I mean,
it is.
you
So
know,
if it's
America,
32
but
miles,
dumb.
like I feel like you're doing like tens of thousands of this.
Well,
like
if a mile is 5,000, round to the nearest number. Hold on, don't use the calculator. If a mile is 5,000 feet and you're doing 32 miles, that's 16,000 feet.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? Because it's 32 times 10 cut in half?
Sure.
What?
I mean...
Right?
Sure.
So, with all the extra stuff, call it 18,000 feet, which works out 18,000 feet divided by a 6-foot person. 6 goes into 18, 3 times?
Yeah.
So that's 3,000 prostrates?
Yeah. And then
like very spherical cow in a vacuum.
It would probably be closer to 4,000 for me, because I'm shorter than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, like that would be a really interesting way to
It'd be dope. I'm here for it.
that.
I'm very here for it.
And then it's also believed that those who complete this walk will have all the sins from this lifetime wiped clean and will receive good fortune for the rest of their days. I mean, you just did like a whole thing.
Yeah. You're talking about the regular walk or the prostrate walk? All walks.
All walks.
All walks. Good luck.
Any of the walks.
Okay, chill.
Now, if you complete the walk 13 times, you'll achieve enlightenment within your lifetime.
Okay, I'm here for that, but I feel like I would have to move there to do it 13 times. Because who's got 13 travel monies? Right? Like, I've traveled a bunch, and 13 is like a bunch to go to the same ass place.
Let alone 13 to Tibet.
But if you live, like, near there, hundo pasando, that's doable, bro.
I think if you lived on that continent, it would certainly be significantly easier.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, just from like a travel logistic standpoint.
Yeah.
But if you can do it 108 times in a row.
Well, what does in a row mean?
In a row.
Back to back?
Back to back. If you can do this 108 times back to back.
Oh, that's nonstop for a year.
Then you'll achieve enlightenment immediately.
Yeah, that's nonstop for a year if you're walking it. Prostrate style, that's nonstop for 5 years or something.
I mean, unless you're really good at it, then it's like 5 months. You could do it in one season. You'll achieve enlightenment immediately. Do you feel like maybe Forrest Gump could have done this? Because I feel like maybe Forrest Gump.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he crossed America in
yeah, maybe that's the key.
In like one beard. That dude crossed all of America in one beard, so I feel like he could crush this. Right? Forrest Gump might actually have been able to achieve enlightenment, y'all.
Yeah.
So
I mean, maybe that's the whole.
He did achieve American enlightenment. He met a president.
He did achieve American enlightenment.
Shrimp.
Still couldn't see those red flags.
That's fine though.
Still couldn't see those red flags.
Red flags. They're very hard to see.
Yeah. So that's Mount.
He's the negative of a bull. Yeah, bulls all red flags. Him no red flags. Didn't see him. Nobody knows what's happening.
So
that's
right Mount Kailash in Tibet.
Yeah, I'm very here for it.
Yeah.
Let's go. Who wants to sponsor me to go to Mount Kailash? I'll do a vlog about it. Yeah, throw me some money.
Yeah,
because I can't afford to. I can't afford to
Just
go
kidding.
all the way
No,
over
we
there,
can't.
bro.
Oh my god.
Oh my gods. Yeah.
Just the whole thought. Like, I don't even have a passport, dude.
Oh.
I've never had a passport in my life.
I've had one.
So,
I mean, it's been a while. So
there's a whole bunch of
but
stuff I'd have to do. Even if I had the money immediately, I'd like just the logistics of that make me want to like.
So much fun.
Makes me just the logistics of planning it. I mean, makes me want to like hire someone to do that work for me.
I mean, yeah, you go to a travel agent. You don't book your own plane flight. That's
so.
It's way too much work. I'm not doing
that we're talking about is Lourdes, France, and you've been here.
I have been to Lourdes, France.
Yeah, you've been to the like
all of it, the whole thing.
Town. It's like a whole town that's all magical.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a town. That's a town that people are doing human stuff. But then there's the church.
Yeah.
And there's the spring underneath the church.
Yep.
And there's like a bunch of statues, and there's like when I went there, it was like during the summer or spring, and it was like there were like shops. All the shops had like all the stuff. Right? Let me tell you. You get crucifix in every possible size and material that has ever been invented by man. It's crazy town. All the stuff was there. It was a very fun trip. It was super cool. It's a very chill place. Beautiful spring. I, in fact, still have some like Mary blessed spring water.
You still have some of the water
from
in like a
the
vial.
Spring from Lourdes. I have only opened that bottle one time since I went there. Yeah, somebody needed a little bit of extra oomph to get over some stuff, and so I cracked it.
Oh, I think I remember.
So
when that happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lourdes, France, it is a holy site for Catholics and other Christians or Christian identifying people. So this is actually a relatively new site. I did not know this. I did not realize it was so new. So in the mid 1800s,
new-ish, dog. Mid 1800s is like,
I mean, that's
new
like,
adjacent. You know, yes, it's not as old as a mountain. That's fair. But like, I mean, it's not like the 70s.
I mean, most things that we talk about are like thousands of years old.
4 of our holidays were invented in the 70s. So.
That's true. I mean, we're either talking about stuff that's like very ancient, or like there's still people alive who were there.
Yeah. You can still talk to the guy who came up with it.
I was just like, dang, this was like pretty recent. So in the mid 1800s, like 1850 something, the Virgin Mary appeared to a woman who wasn't even like very religious 18 times. Let me tell you, by the 18th time, she was definitely very religious.
Yeah. One time, shame on me. 18 times, shame on maybe everybody.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So, Mary, when she, she appeared and she told the woman to do a bunch of things, like build a church and so forth. And one of the things that she told this woman to do was to dig in a very specific spot until she found a spring there. And she did. And that is the spring at Lourdes, France. In the grotto, and the waters from this spring.
Let me tell you, dig, bold strategy. That shit is rock, dog.
I mean,
it is like stone, right? And it's a nice spring. You like work your way up to it. It's a beautiful place to travel to if you have a chance to go to France.
Gorgeous.
It's awesome
from the pictures.
It's very awesome. Yeah, it was a very fun part of my trip.
Yeah. So the waters from the spring are purported to have magical properties and to be able to heal diseases. Mm-hmm. And there are over 7,000 cases of unexplained cures since 1850. Well, it wasn't even that year that it was like, that the spring happened, but like since the 1800s, including 70 which were deemed miraculous by the church. Yeah. Which is like a huge amount.
Official miracles.
So if you're curious, you can like Google, Lourdes Holy Spring or whatever.
Lourdes. It's French, so bunch of bonus letters in there.
Yeah. And on the official website for the place there, they have the
quaint town too.
The like list of people who have been like confirmed by the church as having a miraculous cure. Yeah. The first one was like, I think like 1858 or something like that. And it was a woman who was like, she had been, I think that she had been through like some sort of accident. I don't remember off the top of my head, but like she'd been through some sort of accident. She was pregnant. She went there to pray for her like paralyzed hand or something like that to heal. And she like went to sleep there and then woke up the next day and like miraculously her hand was healed and she could use her hand even though like she was struck by lightning or something insane like that, or had some sort of disease. And then also she went into labor. They tell you
all of this stuff. They got like all the bits.
And then also she went into labor and had that baby right there. So that was like the very first one.
Baby.
That was like not the very first unexplained thing, but the first confirmed miracle.
Yeah, the first
and the most recent one was like 2019.
Sure, totally. Yeah. It's like, it's all, if Americans always in ADA compliant. It's all ADA compliant to get down there. Like, they will bring you down there. Like, it's a whole bloody thing.
Well, yeah.
Because a lot of people travel there specifically for its healing properties, right? Because it's not just, like, mad, miraculous, and, like, all married up and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right? But, like, it's specifically supposed to, like, heal, right? So people go there for the healing and, we'll do collect some of the stuff to do like a healing bath and such like that. So yeah, it's a chill spot, dude. It's very cool. It's very cool.
Yeah. So that was a pretty interesting one. And that one seems to be like incredibly popular to this day. I think
it's a huge tourist
they have
town.
Tens of thousands of people come to visit every year.
Yeah. It's not like a hole in the wall sort of place. Like they know what they got.
Yeah. And
they got that good water, dog. Like they know what's up. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And then lastly is Delphi in Greece.
Yeah.
So Delphi, the oracles at Delphi, that's
from.
exactly what we're talking about here. So this was a holy site for the ancient Greeks and other peoples of the ancient world. Not to say that it's not still a holy site for modern people, but we're kind of more specifically talking about ye old times. But it has experienced a resurgence with the rise of Hellenism and paganism and witchcraft practitioners throughout the world. So the temple at Delphi in Greece, specifically where the oracles resided, because there's a whole bunch of buildings on this site, was built in the 4th century BC to honor Apollo.
Yeah.
He's the patron god of that area. And it was in wide use up until almost the 5th century CE. Yeah. So that's like almost 1,000 years that this was like in like hopping. And all the buildings were built at like varying times and were built dating back all the way back to 4000 BCE. They think that there was like a pre-Hellenic like mother goddess cult that was there even before Delphi, and then Apollo showed up and was like, hey, this is my place now. And they were like, cool, chill. So...
Well, I mean, dude, there's a lot of like, look at these Greeks doing this thing. Maybe this other person from like way older back.
Yeah.
Than then. So
yeah.
Let me tell you, I follow a bunch of people who talk about that on TikTok. It is news.
It really is. It's super fascinating. So Delphi is most famous for the Pythia. That's actually the term for the women who served as oracles. And people also came to the temples for healing, as Apollo was a god of healing, and anything else that you would come to Apollo for. Like there also was a big amphitheater and the whole thing. This was like a whole resort area, basically. And it was really common for people, especially people of power and importance and wealthy people, to make a pilgrimage to Delphi before making any important decisions so that you could get the input of the oracles. Fair. And there are some sources that say that like you can only visit the temple to get a prophecy once a year. I don't know if that is true or not, because there was
once
no
a year, huh?
Yeah, there were no sources cited. Like it was only one day. Like you had one day. But
like they were only doing oracle stuff one day. Rest of the year vacation.
Yeah.
It's a sweet deal. They sound like Congress.
Right?
Those guys, one day of work, the rest of the time waste
I don't know how
time.
true that is, because the places that I saw that their sources weren't cited, so take that for what it's got. But it's the oracles at Delphi are super interesting because we don't really know how they did what they did, but we also we actually kind of have figured it out, right? Sure. So the Temple of Apollo.
Well, we have some bold strategies that we think are probably going to pan out, Cotton.
Yeah, we think that we've got the
without
answer.
Time travel, there's no way to know.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely one of those. Like the oracles would sit on a stool with 3 legs above these like cracks in the earth where there were gases that would come out. And we think they're very specific blend of like
volcanic gases?
No, not volcanic gases, but also like, yes, they are a little toxic. Ethyl being the main gas that we think that they were inhaling, which would induce euphoria and also sort of like it's both euphoria and calm, and also like sort of I want to say prophecy, but like prophetic, but that's not really the term that they were using for it. But it basically like puts you in that mind space. Sure. But then they also would have incense burning, and it's thought that they had like bay leaves as incense. And it's unclear if they had any other rituals. Doing mad like
drinks and smokes and gases.
And so like then the oracles would like you know, somebody would come in and they would like say their thing, and the oracles would like do their thing, but they're actually a story below the person who was asking the question. Like in all the popular media, like particularly in the movie 300, like they're there watching the oracle. Like, no, you usually did not see the oracle.
They just screamed upstairs at
They
you?
just like screamed through a hole in the ground to a male priest.
Yeah.
But also that probably changed over time because there were, you know, there was a lot of time that happened in between the beginning and the end.
So
yeah, so there was a lot of changes, I'm sure, that happened. So yeah, so they would do that, and they would give these prophecies, which the priests would then interpret and then tell to the person. And of course, they are like famously vague. And it is unclear whether or not
prophecies work, famously vague.
Yeah, well, it's unclear whether or not the oracles were telling the priests like famously vague stuff, or if the priests were interpreting it as being very vague. But that's definitely one of my favorite parts, is the whole I mean, the Greek mythos and all the stories behind them are so intrinsically filled with this like monkey's paw idea.
Well, yeah. Well, and also it's all very like mythopoetic, like it's all very, you know, they might have done it this way, but like you're gonna make it sound real fancy when you write it down. Like, if you're gonna waste a scroll, you're gonna make sure that shit sounds
I mean, like this dude,
so
like,
hype.
Yeah, like you're probably giving a prophecy to somebody who's traveled for at least a day to get to you. Yeah. And paid whatever they thought in tithing they should pay.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you have to think like the things that like for every piece of paper that we like scroll or bit of rock that we have that's got like a receipt for grain carved into it, like that's still colored by the like Homeric tales and like the sort of like legends and poetry we have around the time, a lot of which, you know, for everything more than just the Greeks, came after the fact. Yeah. You know, so, and of course we have to deal with the fact that we had that whole, like, Europe got real hype on Greek history for, like, a couple of 100 years, and really decided to sort of, like, spruce everything up. They're like, this painting's old, let's give it some glitter, you know? They glittered everything, so, like, we don't really know, like, you know, I mean, there's sort of that like, line in the sand between, like actual practical historical accuracy and like mythopoetic magical sort of like tale, and then like Hollywood is in the far distance screaming profanities into a wall. So like you know, you take, like, it doesn't matter where you're taking that knowledge from in the grand scheme of things, but like you got to take that into account when you're sort of interpreting like ancient stuff. Yeah. You know?
But definitely always remember that ancient people weren't idiots.
Oh my god, they were normal people.
My favorite thing to talk about.
Stop blaming it on aliens. Ugh, so devalue. So rude. Yeah. Could you imagine? Ugh, so rude.
Yeah, so rude.
Fucking rude,
So
dude.
rude.
Yeah. Oh, how do they do this thing with rocks? The same way you would, dog. You don't need, like, a steam engine to do that. We've proven this time and time again. That it's not aliens. It's just like 5 assholes and some patience. Yeah. I mean, really. Yeah. You know?
Exactly.
Like the Stonehenge rocks and that UK farmer is the greatest example of that in my mind. Where he's just like, me and a bunch of dudes moved this rock the equivalent of the entire distance. Just like with some ropes in our free time. So, fucking rock and roll, dude.
Yeah. Was it easy? Definitely not. But like, was it so impossible?
But was there
that
pizza
you
and beer afterwards?
Help?
There was, and that's a good enough reason. You helped move your friend's house for pizza and beer. So, I mean, is there a difference? Not really.
Not really.
Yeah,
Not
take
really.
it down a notch, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ancient alien shit just like it makes my brain hurt. You know?
It's
or any of that, like, whatever ancient people didn't know how to do a thing. Like, they had a bunch of fucking free time, dog. They knew how to do stuff. They weren't dumb. Yeah. Obviously, we're here now. So
yeah, and we're all...
They succeeded.
There's some pretty dumb people alive now, so, you know.
Yeah. It worked out, y'all. It worked out, y'all. So, yeah, I mean, that's like 3 chill places to visit.
Yeah.
Right? I've been to one of them. Now I got to go to the other 2.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I've not been to Greece,
We're
so
gonna
that
have to
would
find
be
a way to
interesting.
go 108 times around a mountain in Tibet.
I mean, we just go like 13 times. You don't got to do the full 108. 13, and then you get enlightenment throughout your life. That's fine. Yeah. I'm not that impatient. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the 108 is just because by the time you reach 108, you're like, I figured it out. I was being impatient about this. I could have just done the 13 and waited. Like an adult. So, boom.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, definitely. I would definitely love to travel to either of those 2 other locations.
Yeah, they would be,
very cool.
pretty cool.
Be
I
very
had a
cool.
great time looking up a bunch of like pilgrimage sites. There
Yeah.
are so
many places. There's so many places
that you can go for pilgrimages,
Yeah.
and we would have to. First of all, there's no way we could cover it is solely in one podcast episode, but we could spend a whole podcast talking about just
you
we
could spend 2 hours just talking about places to like pilgrimize. You heard me. Places to pilgrimize in the UK, and that is a tiny island.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's a tiny little place, and there are so many fucking places.
Yeah, well, and some of these pilgrimages are like in our magic and anime panel, the one that we just did for Fanime this year, I think that's episode 56 or 57, we talk about ley lines and a lot of these sites for pilgrimages.
You can pilgrimage to
there
a
were
ley
people
line.
There were people who tried to tie them all together using and pioneering the concept of ley lines.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, or you could pilgrimage to like a vortex.
Yeah.
Right? You could pilgrimage to we didn't even talk about none of the places here in the Americas, and there are a ton of them.
Yeah.
Right? So but those are 3 distinctly different and interesting ones.
Yeah.
You know? So totally, I get it. If you've done a pilgrimage before, where did you go to? Comment below on YouTube.
Or where would you want to go?
Or where would you want to go?
If you haven't been to one.
Yeah, best pilgrimage. Where would you want to go for pilgrimage?
Yeah.
Right, because I've been to Stonehenge twice. I've been to Lourdes. I'm trying to think if I've been to other specifically pilgrimagey places.
It's kind of hard. So
it's hard to draw a line between places that you would pilgrimage and just
places you just want to visit.
Significantly historical. I've been to that place where the lion is carved into the side of that mountain. But I don't know, is that a pilgrimage place? I think it's in Germany.
Maybe.
That place is dope. Let me tell you a fantastic place to go take a pilgrimage to, Christian or not, is to go see Greyfriars Bobby. I've been there. With the dog statue. Oh, that's you know the episode of Futurama where his dog waits outside the pizza place and gets carbonized or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so a friar died, and he was buried in the church, right, in the cemetery next to the church or what have you, and his dog was super obedient and was friend to everybody and all this kind of stuff, and just waited for this guy. Right, because he had died, and the dog was I don't know where this dude is, but I'm not going nowhere, no how. And just waited. And so when the dog died, he couldn't be buried on the land, so he was buried out front of the land.
I see.
And when you're in wherever this is in the UK, I cannot think of the name of the town right now. But when you're in there, the church is on this street, and then there's a little one-way sort of street, and then there's a triangle, and there's a statue of Greyfriars Bobby, right there. And you can, touch the statue and take a picture in front of it and all that kind of stuff. I've been there. I've been to, places in the Highlands, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't think of it as necessarily a pilgrimage sort of place in, a specific location thing. But, along the path between Edinburgh and Glasgow, you take this road between, mountain ranges, and some of these mountains are just a pile of slate, so it just looks like a pile of rocks, but it's a whole mountain. It goes all the way up there, but it's just because of the way that slate breaks off. You can't see any, like, mountain. It just looks like a pile of debris.
Yeah.
You know, like, places like that. And that's, like, one of those places, or, like, the places, like, up in the Highlands where the heather is, where, like, once you get far enough out of town and you've, like, turned the corner a little bit, you're gone. Dude, civilization just isn't a thing. Like,
it's so wild.
I'm in a bus on a tiny fuck island compared to America, and you immediately are like, there is no traffic, there are no people, we are just in this bus in the wilderness. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a bunch of, like, little spots like that all over the UK that I've been to that are sort of like that, you know?
I've been to, on the island of Oahu, there is a place that it's the wildest destination to get to when I went. So it's the place where the old kings and queens would birth their children.
Sure.
So, like, the royal women would go and birth their children. Very specific place. And to, like, get there, it's like you take this freeway and then it turns into, like, a 2-lane highway where there's, like, no divider. You know, you just, like, make a pray to God left turn kind of thing. And it's just like, okay, so you're driving, and then in the middle of, like, almost, like, basically, like, in the middle of town, like, you're, like, right next to, like an Arby's or whatever, and you make a hard left turn into literally a field with a dirt road. And it doesn't make sense. And you're driving down this dirt road for, like, a little while, and you're like, am I in the right place? This is a rental car.
You get that insurance, rock and roll.
You get that insurance, yeah.
Yeah,
but then you finally get to, like, a sign that says, like, you're here at, you know, whatever it is that they call the official place. And then you go, like, a little further, and then there's, like, a little parking lot, and then you can get out, and it's this, like, beautiful, like, meadow with, like, these really, really old trees. Totally. And, like, a bunch of, like, rocks and, like, a couple of plaques that sort of tell you what's going on. It was a very cool space.
Totally, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, it's really cool. I didn't go there as a sort of a religious pilgrimage, but that is where I went, where there was a pilgrimage site.
Totally.
I think if I were to do sort of a religious sort of pilgrimage for myself, it would probably be to like visit the Oracle at Delphi.
Oh, to visit Delphi?
Yeah, that would be like a big deal for me.
Totally. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think that would be like the one. Like, if I could only choose one, that would be the one.
Yeah, I've been there before. It would be Stonehenge for me. I love Stonehenge. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's so big and so old and so weird. Yeah, I love it.
I really want to visit Stonehenge too. Like, there's a ton of them I want to. But,
well,
like, I can only choose one.
All of the burial mounds throughout the UK and, like, all of that stuff. I mean, I kind of love all of that stuff. Stonehenge is probably my favorite, like, English spot. Scotland is essentially just like any place in the Highlands. It doesn't even have to be something special. It's just up there. Scotland just, like, calls to me, bro. I love that. Oh my God. In a minute, I would move there without question. Like, 100% move to Scotland. You know? Yeah, man.
That's exactly how I feel about Hawaii.
Yeah. Hawaii seems hot.
I mean,
I want, like, cold and dreary, but, like, just enough that I could grow some, like, just enough that I could grow a little garden during the summertime.
It was a place that, like, changed my life.
Sure, totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful or whatever.
Yeah, well, more than that, it's just got, like, for me,
it's there was, totally like... different energy.
There was, like,
they don't care about
mystical energy.
Being on time to stuff. You got the island time, my dude. I tell people about that shit all the time. I've never even been there before. I tell people all the time, you know what, just be late to shit. Who cares? Oh, boss says I can't be 5 minutes late to work. Well, fuck that guy.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, we have some correspondences for you. It is time to read from the lists.
It's from the list time.
So these are correspondences specifically for traveling, and I'm only going to go over some of these.
Full list will be in the
Book of Shadows pages, which we're almost caught up on.
Yeah.
So animals associated with travel. So before I actually get into that, there are some of these things that are related to like specific types of travel. I found that like things where you're traveling to someplace or from someplace, like to home, from home to a place, from a place to back to home, as well as doing like water travel were like specifically called out. And if I don't call out that it's specifically about a different type of travel, then it's sort of general travel. So animals associated with travel, magic would be an albatross.
Yeah, download the song, put it on your iPhone, listen to that stuff while you travel.
That would absolutely work.
Yeah.
A kangaroo, a hawk, a whale, and any animal that has like a migration cycle.
Unless you're a billionaire. Maybe don't go near whales. They know about you. They're coming for you. Don't
Those
worry.
orcas, they know.
Yeah.
So
I, for one, welcome our cetacean overlords.
Yeah.
So
same. I'm here for it. So yellow is a good color for travel magic.
Sure.
And stones or crystals. So ametrine, garnet, malachite, tiger's eye are all good ones for it. As for plants, citronella, damiana, lucky handroot, and mugwort.
Yeah.
And for symbols, we have a compass, an evil eye, the Vegvasir would be great for that, and any other sort of thing that you think is particularly exciting, like if you're very into the St. Christopher medallion, that would be a good one for you. And then for deities, we have a whole ton of them associated with travel. So there's Artemis and Fortuna Redux, which is, she's specifically for traveling back home. That would be a good one to invoke when you are at the place that you're at and you're going to be going home, you know, like maybe your flight home. Ganesh, Hecate, Isis was particularly associated with water travel. We actually talk about her in one of our episodes for a deep dive. Also, of course, Poseidon for traveling by water.
Obviously.
Odin was a deity associated with water, and of course we talked about
and travel in general. I mean, he's the gray.
Oh yeah, I said water.
Yeah.
I meant to say travel.
Yeah. Well, Odin's the gray wanderer. So like
Yeah.
he's somebody that you would run into, or that would run into you amongst travel. So that's very the act of traveling, not about the destination or the home, but the very act of traveling, right, to wander. So definitely.
Yeah, so a nice good list of correspondences for you.
Yeah, 100%. So correspondences out of the way. Next time on whatever this is, a podcast, we're gonna pretend, is a pub chat. We're getting back into pub chats, so that's gonna come up. Who knows what it's gonna be about? Generally, I make that decision about the moment that I sit down. So yeah. So sometimes they're real long because we got a bunch to say, and sometimes they're a reasonable length, like we've intended for them to be. So we'll see what happens next time, guys. But if you do have, on Pub Chats, if you have a specific question you want to ask, or like a topic you want to talk about, or you want us to talk about, but that isn't like a deep dive topic, like obviously if you have like a deep dive topic, or like a specific deity, or like thing, or whatever, you can always like hit us up, and then like message us, or comment below, or whatever. And we'll put it on the list to like do a full-length podcast on. But if you just have like a general like sort of like, oh, like I just want to hear your opinion on this thing or what have you, you can always hit us up, and we'll discuss those on a pub chat.
Yeah.
So always down to do that stuff. And speaking of hitting us up and people that we communicate with all the time, we would like to thank our patrons. You guys are awesome. You make these better every time. And so I want to give a shout out to our patrons, Alan, Miranda, Helena, Alexa, Somewhere, Stacy, and Panda. You guys are dope. Thank you very much. And
Help us do what we do better every time.
We're catching up on those Book Shadows pages. Prepare for more stuff. And obviously links will be below if you want to join our Patreon and chit chat with us and talk about all sort of things like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap too. It's only like $5 or $13 a month, depending on which level you want to be in. Yeah, so
go hit that up. Go hit that up.
Half
Check
of
it out.
the price of a California coffee.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Ooh, a single gallon of gas in California. Yeah.
Is there gas that expensive?
Yeah, I got gas the other day. It was $4.99 a gallon.
You know what? I've started practicing the art of unasking the question of how much money I just put in that gas tank. I also drive an El Camino from the 80s with a Chevy 350 in it and a 4-speed automatic transmission. So, yeah, I don't want to know what my fuel economy is because it would make me sad. And I primarily work from home, so I don't need to drive it that much. So there we go.
Yeah.
If I was doing my hour drive a day thing, I used to calculate my gas mileage like neurotically.
Yeah.
And like feather the way that I drive my car.
Yeah. There's like 4 gas stations like on my commute to and from the office. So I like keep an eye out for like which one is the cheapest one, so that way I don't have to like deviate from my course. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too much work. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a bum about it. Whatever.
I mean, if I can...
whatever, I drive a truck.
I can save that,
kind of a truck. If
I can save that, like, 20 cents, that's, like, $2. And then that's... I want to say that adds up over the year. But, like, honestly, does it?
Yeah. What's $2? What can you get for $2? A can of off-brand soda from a vending machine, probably?
You know what? Maybe, but I don't know.
They might be more expensive than that nowadays. Remember when that shit was, like, a quarter? Or like a dime?
I remember when it was like
oh my god, like a dime soda? Oh man, better times, dude. I don't know where we went wrong.
I remember when like brand name sodas were like 25 cents in a machine, and the like supermarket brand was like 10 cents.
Yeah, out here it was the Shasta brand, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 10-cent soda, baby. That was good stuff.
Yeah, that plant the plant for those sodas was in the hometown that I grew up in.
Yeah. Now, no more. All brand name, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway.
Whatever. Either way, I have been John Norgrove. This has been Julie Norgrove. This has been the Horn
and Cauldron
podcast. Yeah, and we'd like to wish everybody listening a happy midsummer and good second half of your year. We're getting less sunlight, so that's good.
Yeah.
Right?
Prepare your body for the dark side of the year.
Yeah, better side of the year. Whatever, dude. My eyes are sensitive to the light. I can't stand this stuff.
I like all of the seasons for what they are.
Yeah. I mean, I get to garden during the summertime, which is nice, but I prefer the cold and the rainy and the dreary. I love a good drear.
Honestly, the only thing that I am, like, not a big fan about with summer is the, like, influx of mosquitoes.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, yes,
my blood is poisoned, so I don't have to worry about mosquitoes.
But, like, the mosquitoes, ooh, man, I got, like, 3 mosquito bites, like, right next to each other on my leg.
I so rarely get mosquito bites.
Oh, man, it's rough.
You just gotta present yourself as, like, constantly vibrating so the mosquitoes can't get in it. I saw just the other day, speaking of my resistance to mosquito bites being something that is bonkers, the other day I saw a mosquito. I was outside doing something in the garden, and I saw a mosquito land on me and, like, bonk its nose or whatever, its proboscis, against my arm a couple of times and then just give up and fly away. And I was like, that's a weird interaction. Okay, cool, man. Whatever. So, whatever. Tough skin, I guess.
He was like, not today, Satan.
Yeah, he was just like, I'm not gonna, that hurt. I'm gonna go home. I'm done with this. I'm calling in sick today. But yeah. Thank you guys for listening. We will catch you guys next time. What do we got to do? Don't forget to like this video, comment below, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and do all that kind of stuff. We already said who we are and what we're doing here. And we will catch you guys on the flip side. Stay magical, folks.
Yeah, and don't forget, breathe in self-confidence and breathe out self-doubt.
Yeah.